Okay, we'll get started and want to just say good morning to everybody. I'm Brad Schrum, the Chief Underwriting Officer from Wingman Insurance, and I'm joined today with my cohort, Heather Glover. Heather, you want to say hello?
Good morning, everybody.
Heather is our
It's 11 o'clock.
Our lead underwriter at Wingman Insurance, and today we're bringing to you a new workshop that we have, brand new for the IIAT. It's comparing key cyber coverages. Just a little housekeeping. We are recording this workshop today, and we will send this to you and any affiliated documents that we go over. If you have any questions, just hit the Q&A button and we'll be happy to answer them. We have everybody on mute today just so it cuts down on the noise. So here we go. We promise you, it shouldn't take us more than 30 minutes, so hopefully with questions and answers. And we hope you find this to be an informative seminar today. With that, we'll get started. As you can see, is just a disclaimer. I'm not going to sit here and read it to you, but at the end of the day, these are just our opinions, and you need to look at the terms, conditions, and exclusions in a policy to determine if actual coverages apply, and it has to go through claims. So the objective of our workshop today is understanding key cyber coverages. We get asked this all the time. And then how do you analyze those coverages? And then we have a tool to analyze the coverages, and that's Wingman versus the competition. Okay. Now, there's some key points to review in a cyber policy that you need to look at. First, is the policy admitted or non-admitted? And we could debate this for days. But at the end of the day, I think everybody on the phone knows what admitted versus non-admitted. Each one has their advantages and disadvantages, and you and your client need to choose which is better for you. Does the policy include all prior acts, or does it have a retro date? You know, the advantage is always to have prior acts coverage versus a retro date, which is very limiting. The other thing, does the application become part of the policy? Is it a warranty to the policy? Those are the two questions that you need to ask yourself, and there are various carriers who do require this. Does it include first and third party coverage? And we'll go through that. First party, meaning it's happened to you and you have a claim as the insured, versus third party, someone else has a claim against you. Do they have a deductible? And if they do, is it an aggregate, or does it apply to each and every single claim and there's no aggregate? So if you have 10 losses, the deductible would apply to those 10 losses over the year, or is it one deductible? And is the policy auditable? We can't tell you whether others are auditable. We can tell you Access is not. So if the sales go up, there is no audit for that year. Okay, so those are some of the key, the basic points that you want to review in a cyber policy. The next thing that you should look at is cyber terrorism. All of us are aware of cyber terrorism, and you know it's on the news every day with China, domestic terrorism, foreign terrorism. Do you have coverage automatically, or do you have to purchase it, or is it automatically, or is it rejected automatically if you don't buy it? Do you have to sign a form to get the coverage? And then we're going to show you the difference between war and cyber terrorism definition. The Access form automatically includes cyber terrorism with no additional premium, and you don't have to sign a form. You'll see here what the definition of each one of these exclusions are, or the definition of each one of these verses. So cyber terrorism means an act or series of acts of any persons or groups or persons, whether acting alone or behalf or connection with an entity, committed for political or religious or ideological purposes. And you can read through this, the definition, and then war. War is an invasion, hostile, or warlike operations, whether declared or not. Strike, lockout, riot, civil war, rebellion. Now, keep in mind, the war exclusion, if any, is amended to add the following at the end. Notwithstanding the foregoing, this exclusion does not apply to acts of cyber terrorism. We see a lot where folks will come to us and ask us if war is excluded. Actual war, no, but cyber terrorism, yes. And hopefully that makes sense. So keep in mind, you want to make sure that your policy includes cyber terrorism, but most of the policies that we see today do include a true war exclusion. Okay? With that, Heather, I'll turn this over to you.
All right. Thank you, Brad. The next topic we wanted to discuss is ransomware versus extortion. They're not the same, and we just feel like it's a really important distinction to make, as ransomware is the #1 claim that we're seeing in the market today. Over the last 2 years, ransomware attacks have grown 97%. A statistic we've seen is that a new organization will be hit with a ransom attack every 14 seconds. That was in 2019, growing to every 11 seconds by 2021. We do see policies where ransomware does not appear to be included in the policy. So it's just something that we feel like is really important. So I'll go over that really quickly. Extortion is simply the demand for a good, service, or payment to prevent violence or destruction of property. Criminals can get ahead of themselves by demanding something before they've actually hurt you or hurt your client. There's different forms that this can take, and an example we've included here is a hacker might send malicious traffic using a bot to overwhelm the insured site, making it so that they maybe can't do business. But again, it's just the threat of the destruction or violence. Ransomware, however, is the actual insertion of malware into their computer system, meaning they have locked your computer down, they are looking for a ransom payment, and you cannot get to anything of yours. You're just locked out. A lot of times the hackers will want this paid in a Bitcoin, something untraceable, which can add to the frustration and confusion and hassle for the insured. Our policy does cover both, but again, we've seen policies that might only cover, extortion. So it's just something that we really recommend to look into. Next slide, Brad.
Yeah.
So very simply, to sum that up, extortion is a credible threat versus ransomware being the actual attack. So important distinction there. Next slide.
Yeah.
We've included some a competitor sample wording here. I'm not going to read it all, just going to hit the high points. Reading it, you can see it says extortion expenses, extortion money, credible threat or threats. And reading the definition of a credible threat, it means a threat to release, divulge, disseminate, etc., to introduce malicious code into your system, to corrupt, damage, or destroy your system, etc. Key word being threat. So they haven't actually inserted that malware. So reading this policy, we would assume that a ransom event would not be covered, just the extortion piece.
Very good.
Back to you, Brad.
Yeah, thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about business income coverage. There is first party, which is direct to you, and third party is dependent party coverage. Okay, so you should be looking for a policy that gives you first party and third party coverage. You should be looking at the deductible. What is the hourly deductible? So some policies will say 12, 24. Access policy happens to say 6, which is probably one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the industry. Is there an hourly cap? Is there an hourly cap to what business income would be capped at? Our form or access form does not have that. Does the business income include system failure and system disruption? Please understand the distinction between the two. System failure means a measurable and material interruption or suspension of the computer system that does not directly result from a cyber attack. An example of a system failure would be your agency is upgrading your software from a third party and the software gets corrupted or there's a glitch in it and your agency goes down for 3 days and you can't operate your business. And you can take that for any business, okay? So you're down for 3 days, you're losing income. This policy, or should I say Access's policy, would respond even though the event has nothing to do with a cyber attack. It's a very unique coverage, and not every policy provides that because it is not related to a cyber attack. And then you get into systems disruption, and that means a measurable and material or suspension of the computer system that is directly caused by a cyber attack. So as Heather mentioned, there's a ransomware attack. You're down for 5 days, you can't operate, and you're losing business income. That would apply in this case, and you would have business income coverage from a system disruption. Keep in mind, this is first and third party. So if you have a client that's relying on a third party provider, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, AWS, a cloud provider, and they go down, you have, or your insured would have coverage for business income. Okay? Okay, Heather, back to you.
All right. Bring your own device, or BYOD for short. This is the coverage for an employee-owned device versus the insured entity-owned or operated device. I think everyone would agree this is becoming a growing issue with the pandemic and lots of folks working from home. I know I am working from home, so it's easy to see how this could become an issue. We're seeing it in the news as well. There was a recent article from Google noting that they were having a tough time finding laptops for their new employees and staff, which was causing a delay for onboarding employees and things like that. So certainly a growing trend here in the current times. So this is going to be the employee-owned device. We have released an endorsement since this all started, and it is now included on every policy that is issued. And you can see the wording here is that it also includes any individual insured's mobile or portable device used in conjunction with the insured entity's Bring Your Own Device program. Next slide, Brad.
Yep.
So looking at the computer system here, the definition kind of midway through, you can see that it's saying operated by and either owned by or at least to an insured entity, etc. So that amendment now furthers that to now include the employees' devices, which is certainly a good thing. We're seeing more and more people working from home.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
I think we have a question, so let me see if I can. Yes, we will be sending copies of the slides, yes. And this will also be recorded for you as well. Thank you. Okay. Next. Go ahead, Heather.
All right. And again, we have a little bit of competitor policy wording. So reading through this really quickly, computer system means an electronic, wireless, web, or similar systems. And if you kind of stroll down to the last sentence or so, it says that is owned or leased, operated and controlled by you or operated by an independent contractor authorized to provide services for you. So reading that, we would say that the employee-owned device would not be covered under this definition.
How often do you hear about BYOD, Heather, since you're working on this every day?
Sure. I'm hearing about it more and more. I've had at least a couple questions just this week if that's something that we cover. So the question is certainly growing. Insureds asking their agents, not just agents asking us. So it's definitely a growing concern for clients as well.
We have a question, and a great question that we'll be answering, Jack, that will show you the checklist. And absolutely, we have that comparison for you that we'll be showing you at the end. So you're a few slides ahead of us, but we will be answering that. Thank you. Okay. All right, next question, next thing. Okay, other key coverages for you to consider, okay? And other key coverages to compare. Social engineering, hopefully all of you have heard about this and not experienced a social engineering claim, but this is our second largest frequency and severity of claims that the book of business has had and what's going on in the industry. Basically, social engineering will pay for monetary loss associated with fraudulent transfer of funds by an employee acting in good faith. Essentially, if someone tricks your employee into paying for goods or services, the monetary loss will be covered. Now, when you do the comparison of another carrier's form, one, do they have social engineering? Because a lot of forms, especially BOP policies, do not. And does it have any conditions or authentication requirements for coverage to apply? Meaning that they have to authenticate or attempt to authenticate. We made a change to our coverage that we do not. We made that change when? In November of last year, Heather?
Yes.
Okay. So all new business today and any renewals after November will no longer have this condition. Secondly, we have what's called invoice manipulation, and we call this the inverse of social engineering. This will pay for money lost if you provide goods or services and before payment is received, the invoice is manipulated or intercepted to cause the payee to be tricked into paying someone else. This is up and coming. So you provide services or insurance for your client. They get a bill for $25,000. It's got your logo on it. It's got your invoice. It looks like it's being sent by you. They send the money. Guess who they just sent the money to? They sent it to a hacker. So you're not happy because you didn't receive $25,000. They're not happy because they paid $25,000 to a hacker. The hacker's happy because they got the money. This coverage would be provided to make you whole and make your client happy. That is called invoice manipulation, a very, very important coverage today, and that is provided under the Access policy. Last but not least is called bricking. A lot of people are not familiar with this term, but bricking, this will cover the hardware replacement costs associated with a device that is rendered useless after a cyber incident. We see a lot of hackers who are just malicious, decide they want to shut down your phone, your computer, your desktop, whatever it may be. So it's rendered as to be a brick that you can throw out the window. We provide this unique coverage. Not all carriers do that. Other key coverages to compare is GDPR. And GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation. And it's a regulation, and I'm not going to go through it, in the European Union. And you want to make sure that this is covered under your insurance policy. At Access, or Access policy, does provide automatic GDPR coverage. We always say if you can click a button, you are international, and you want to make sure that you have this coverage. And last but not least is reputational harm. Reputational harm means the loss of or reduction in business income resulting directly from a reputational incident during the notification period. So if you're insured as a clothing store and their business goes down 50%, because the publicity, due to publicity, nobody wants to go in the store, you have coverage for reputational harm, another important coverage. Okay. Is it still me, Heather?
I think this was me.
Okay.
All right. So kind of like the key points Brad discussed up front, just a few what we would think of as intangible items. What is the AM Best rating of the carrier? Is it, is it comparable to other people in the same industry group? What's their standing? Does the carrier handle their own claims? Is it going to be a smooth process? Good communication for your insured? Are they going to be pulling their hair out trying to deal with a third-party vendor? Can you rate, bind, issue, and direct bill within 2 minutes? Our system is quick and efficient. We'd love to give you a demo if you haven't seen it, but you can get everything rated and bound within 2 minutes. Very quick and efficient. Again, no subject twos. The average account we can quote up, get bound in no time at all. And lastly, Brad alluded to this earlier, but no premium audit. We don't audit accounts to make sure that revenue is matching anything. So next slide.
Great.
And I know there was a question about this. This is just a screenshot of our comparison tool. This is what we use when we're comparing a policy. We're happy to share it. We're happy to assist in reviewing policy comparison with another form. Again, it is just our opinion, but there's several pages that go along with this. This is just a sample of it. But we find it a very helpful tool, and it covers all the different areas that we've just discussed and what you can expect from the Access form.
Yeah, very useful tool, and we'll include that when we send this recording and the slides to you, and we'll be happy to do it. So with the IIAT, we are the sponsored carrier MGA for IIAT through Access Insurance Company. We work very closely with the IIAT, great partner with our agency plant down there in Texas. If you were appointed, great. If you're not appointed yet, you automatically are eligible for an appointment with this program. All you have to do is reach out to Heather or myself. Our information is there, or you can reach out to Donna Biles or Lisa Webb, and they will certainly get you to us. But you automatically have access to this program. We only deal with IIAT agents and brokers in Texas. We do not work with non-IIAT members. So with that, we'll open it up to see if anybody has any questions, but certainly you can email, as you can see here, Heather or myself. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer. And I think we have a few questions here, Heather. Oh, good. Heather, you want to answer this? Is this direct bill or is this agency bill?
The system is all direct bill, and the email will go out to the client. There's a link to pay. It's very easy. There's several payment options. They can pay annual, monthly, or quarterly. We've opened that up with the COVID. We've really tried to be as flexible as we can for clients so that they have some options there. Direct bill, again, it's ACH or credit card. There is no fee for installment. There's no fee for an ACH. Credit card, there is a small 2% fee. There's no down payment when there is an installment plan. It's just divided out equally. That's a lot of the questions that I usually see. So hopefully that helps.
Yes, great, Heather. Thank you. And the other thing is everything goes out with your label or your logo on it. Nothing will go out in the Wingman logo. We white label everything to your agency. The next, our terrorism trigger standards, the same as other TRIA coverage lines, require certification by the Department of Treasury. That is correct. Yes, it does have to be a certified terrorism event. And then that would trigger. The next question we have is, do you quote through the IIAT website? The answer is no. You quote directly through your own, through our website, but you just sign up through us and you have direct access to the program through the platform. We pay 15% commission new and renewal, but we sign up every individual within your agency and you go right direct and you work with Access. Well, you work with us. If you have a claim, you work with Access directly. Hopefully that answered your question, Allison. How long is the notification period coverage for reputational harm? The notification period, tell me if I'm incorrect, Heather, is 30 days. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yep. Thank you for that question. Whose paper? Good. It's Access Insurance Company. Access is an A-rated V15 carrier. It is all admitted. paper, and you work directly with Access. So it is admitted A15, and hopefully that answers your question there. How does it compare to CFC? Well, if that individual would like to get in touch with Heather and myself, we will give you our opinion. As we say, it's our opinion. You know, whatever form you want to send us, we do a lot of comparisons. But then again, we disclaim, give you the best of our ability as to the differences. There are differences in each form, and we would be happy to look at that. And you can just email one of us that, and we'll give you comparisons. We've done a lot of those, haven't we, Heather?
Yes, certainly have.
So we're happy to do that, but you will find some major differences in form, pricing, and everything else, coverage. Any other questions that we can answer for anyone else? Oh, good. Here's some more. Are there any types of businesses that you will not insure? That's a very good question. No, everything is eligible for cyber except for cannabis. However, we can do cannabis outside the platform, but everything is eligible, correct, Heather?
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah. So everything is eligible, and happy to give you a demonstration to show you that, but we write everything. You name it, from nonprofits to construction, up and down the line, manufacturers, healthcare. It's booming. We would say every class of business, every industry group needs it. If you have a computer, you need some form of cyber insurance. The minimum premium starts out at what, $595?
$567 for
Yeah.
$1 million under, depending on the rate class, but yeah, that would be the minimum, $567.
And 0 up to 100 million, you do not have to complete an application with limits of 3 million or less in limits, correct, Heather?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Heather, is it worldwide, and does it allow to layerable, and what is the highest limit, I guess?
It is worldwide. We can go up to 10 million. We do have to look at revenue and things to make sure it aligns with the limit and makes sense. But we do have some options there. So I would say we usually can get up to 10 million. You know, if you needed a 5 million primary and a 5 mil X, you know, that's certainly something we could talk about as well. We do have some options there.
Can you do excess, Heather?
Yes, we can do excess policies.
Okay, Heather, here comes another question. Credit card processors, are they eligible?
We do look at credit card processors. They are a little bit trickier, and they would need to go under the Tech E&O form, but we are able to write them. We would need a full app to consider that one, just because it is a little bit of a trickier class of business, but we can and do write that class.
Great, Heather, thank you. Heather, are paper documents included?
No, everything is sent out via
No,
email.
no, paper documents in the definition of if there's a breach.
I'm sorry. Yes, paper would
Yes.
be included. Yep, that's correct.
Yes, it is included. Thank you for that great question. And you may want to mention how we distribute our policies, Heather, if you want.
Sure. Everything is sent out electronically. You would agree that it's electronic communications only. Once the policy is paid for, we will send the policy to the agent so that you have that touch point again with your client to send that policy and reach out to them. The payments are all online. Everything is electronic.
Great, Heather. Thank you. Heather, I'm going to keep picking on you. Does Oxys offer risk management support?
Yes, we have a couple things. We have our eRisk Hub that every policyholder has access to. We also have a program called CRA, Cyber Risk Awareness, and it offers various training opportunities for clients that they can do risk training for phishing emails and scams that you might see in the marketplace. Every policy comes with a 1 hour of free breach coach service. So if you feel your client feels that they've had an event or they're concerned, they are able to pick up the phone and call someone 24/7. So if it's 5 o'clock on a Friday night, they still have an opportunity to reach out to someone and get advice and what to do, which I think is super helpful when, you know, you're at the end of the day and you can't reach a local vendor that might be able to help. So great service there.
Great, Heather, thank you. There's a question is, what is the identity for the third party? I don't particularly understand that question. Can you clarify that for us a little bit more? We'd be happy to answer. Heather, unless you have an idea, I don't.
I'm not quite sure either.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Time limits, like for data breach, will you allow a retroactive date from another carrier? We don't have a retro date. There is no retro date. It's you have all prior acts coverage as long as the insured was not aware of the incident or had a claim when the policy was written. So there is zero retro date. We could cover a claim back to 2015 as long as they weren't aware, or Access can, as long as they weren't aware, the insured was not aware of the incident. And hopefully there's no time limit. No, there's no time limit. Nope. Great. Any other questions? This has been, hopefully everybody found this very helpful. If you have any more questions, you can see Heather's and my email and phone number, or you can reach out to help@wingmanins.com. We certainly will appoint you quickly. We can get you up and running within 48 hours. And you can start writing cyber today for your 7-1s. It's truly that easy. And if you want a demo, certainly let Heather or myself know. We want to thank you for your time today. Like we said, 30 minutes, and we're spot on 30 minutes. Hopefully you enjoyed the seminar, and everybody will receive this as soon as it downloads. So thank you for your time, and have a good day. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.